Welcome to The Bank is Open, presented by Pickett Sports, presented by Props.Cash, breaking down the NBA slate. Matt Mcafee, BrianVsTheBooks. We'll be breaking down all the games, props. Maybe we'll get into some NFL. Matt, Brian, what's going on, guys?
Not much.
Go ahead,
We were
Brian.
just talking a little bit how I'm going to pass a lot of the betting stuff to you guys, but I still got some game breakdowns. I still got some stuff. It should be a fun time. The most fun game of the slate, I think, is a late game, and I think that should be a fun game to watch, whether you have action on it or not.
Before we get to NBA, Brian, you're a Philly guy. Anything? What do you think? What's your thought here on Hurts? Does he play? Is there a bet to make in terms of the MVP market, Coach of the Year market? There's so many tentacles to a player this
Yeah.
important getting hurt. They do have a good backup in Minshew. I'll just give you the floor here. Your thoughts here on Hurts.
I will say I heard the rumor because at first it was a broken collarbone. That's what everyone was reporting, and there was like rumor mills going around. And I was at the gym, and I just like mentioned to this guy I know, and the whole place turned to like this worry center. So I'm okay if he's gonna miss a game or two. Honestly, depending on how he feels, I don't even mind shutting Hurts down for the season. I mean, I'd rather. I mean, like, as long as we can clinch, we need one win or one Dallas loss as an Eagles team to clinch that one seed. I think that's the most
One
important
Minnesota
part.
lost too, which they'll lose a game, but you need Minnesota to lose too.
Yeah. So, but I'm just saying, like the path to the one seed isn't as hard as it could be. So, so Hurts's health, I think, is the most important part of this team. So I can live with it if he's out for Dallas. If he can play any of the next 2 weeks, that's more than fine with me. But I think as long as we can find an avenue to keep him healthy and to keep the team, in a position to get that one seed, it can go a long way. But I was originally panicking at the idea that we could lose him, for an extended period of time. So I'm happy. It's like one of those things where you tell your parents the bad news first and then you pull it back a little bit. At first, I thought I was imagining the worst and I was about to find a cliff, and now I can kind of ease into a little bit that we could be okay.
Matt, any bets you made off of this news? Allen MVP, somebody else, coach, any awards prices, anything catch your eye in terms of this news?
I mean, I think the actionable time was like that half hour that you had to like make some strikes, and I didn't jump on anything. Just my general consensus is like, say he misses a game or two and Minshew wins both games, like that hurts. No pun intended. It hurts his MVP chances.
There you go.
If the backup quarterback goes in there, and it kind of actually gives credence to Micah Parsons' comments of like, anybody driving this car would be doing good. Like, Hurts is an animal. He doesn't get enough credit for his rushing. Yes, his passing numbers are average. I know his interception TD ratio is good, but like in terms of yardage, things like that, he's kind of middle of the pack. But if it was so easy to rush for double digit touchdowns, everybody would do it, right? So
Yeah.
I like his case for MVP here. Just to say, maybe he only misses the Cowboys game, and the Eagles get killed by the Cowboys because they are embarrassed and are pissed off after the Jacksonville thing. And then okay, Minshew looks bad, and it's like okay, Hurts can come back in here. If you never had a Hurts ticket yet, now's the time to go ahead and try to buy one at a discount.
Yeah.
5.5.
I think. Yeah, I think you mentioned it too because there was a window. I think you mentioned too because you mentioned the time to jump on it was whatever. Because I think yesterday Hurts got up to 7-1, and now on FanDuel looking he's plus 30 plus 350. So I do think there was like that crisp overreaction where you could have got up at 7-1, and I think people realize, all right, is it really as bad as they say? Is there really a problematic thing here? So plus 350, I think you kind of missed the boat. But like I do think there's an avenue he wins, especially if he only wins one game. You mentioned maybe they get hit by the Cowboys. The worst thing as an Eagles fan is that do I want to win in a clinch, but prove Michael Parsons' comments to have some validity, or do I want to lose? Like, because like here's the thing: we could win, and Minshew could have like an awful game, but we grind out a win. And like I don't think Parsons has like I don't think Hurst is like just in the system. I think he's a great talent, but if the Cowboys lose, Parsons is gonna make some tweet about how like retweet himself or something like that.
Yeah,
it's like a lose-lose situation for us. But yeah, I do think there is some avenues. I read Joe Delara did a piece for Action Network talking about like maybe some value in Patrick Mahomes' Offensive Player of the Year stock in that regards, because sometimes it could be like a quote unquote security blanket or like consolation prize if we don't win MVP. I'm not sure what you think about that, Will, but that was like one of his angles. If you think that there's a chance Mahomes could take that, or Mahomes or Josh Allen. Because if you think Mahomes takes the MVP, is there a market for Allen to win the Offensive Player of the Year if Hurts gets completely shut out? But I don't. I just think with the record the Eagles have and how Hurts has played, it's tough to think he gets completely shut out the discussion of both awards.
If he misses one game, I think he can still win the MVP. If he misses more than one game, he's dead. He's not going to win because Mahomes is probably going to break the passing record, or you could give it to Burrow or Allen. These guys are all too close. So you can't miss 2 games this late in the year. And I just don't think that, he'll have a realistic shot. Offensive Player of the Year, I have no idea. I never know what that award is. Just it's so vague because I usually take it as the best non-quarterback, quarterback MVPs for the quarterback. Offensive Player of the Year is the best non-quarterback. It doesn't always go that way. Sometimes they do give it to a quarterback. So I don't know. I have Jefferson tickets. I hedged with Hill. I'm hoping it's one of those 2 guys. Maybe they give it to a quarterback. So I'm not sure. I do think it's Jefferson's to lose. I do think Jefferson probably gets to 2,000 yards. And speaking of breaking records, he'll probably get to 2,000 yards, break the receiving record. Barring injury, barring sitting out, I do think Jefferson is in good shape to win Offensive Player of the Year. Minshew's a really good backup. The only thing is, like, if Hurts does sit this week, they might take that as an opportunity to say, you know what, Hurts is hurt. We're going to sit him out. Other guys that are banged up, maybe this is a good week to sit them, and maybe they sit a bunch of guys out and treat this sort of as a preseason game and go from there. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, my last comment on that is I do think, as a big Eagles fan, as I said, like big Birds fan here, it really is unfortunate that the year that we are 13-1, we're in a spot where our division is everybody is playing so well, where we don't have our path. Like at 13-1, your path to a division title should be a lot more clear than ours is now. It should be like the 1 seed. It should be more clear than it has been for the Eagles as well they've been playing.
Yeah, I think it also, we saw the overreaction in the market on just the individual game. The spread jumped all the way up to like 6.5, which was a wild overreaction, I thought. But heck, if now that it's been corrected a little bit, if what you say, Will, is like, hey, maybe we give everybody that's bumped and bruised the week off and come back at it. I think they're going to get a bye probably. So you almost want to have Hurts play that last week. Because gosh, do you want your quarterback to not played in 5 weeks?
You don't. No, you definitely don't.
Yeah, no, definitely not. So
that's exactly the conversation I have with my dad, is that play him at least a half that last game, because you don't want to come in after 3 weeks off.
Ice cold, right? Yeah. Fascinating stuff, guys, for sure.
It is, because you don't want it to re-injure it either. You don't want him rusty, but you don't. If he's like 80%, you go out there and he's running around. He lands the wrong way. You're going to be playing the Giants, who probably need the game for the playoffs. Possibly, that's a physical defense. He just Thibodeau lands on him or something and he re-injures it. Then that's not a great scenario. So
it's a lose-lose. It's a lose-lose situation for a coach there, because no matter what, you're wrong. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, Sirianni can win Coach of the Year here, and Hurts gets shut out, and I could see that situation. The Eagles will win something like in one of these postseason awards, and I think Sirianni, giving him the coach. If they beat the Cowboys with Minshew, it's over.
If they go 15-2 or 16-1, he's the Coach of the Year. Mm-hmm. I think where it gets interesting is if they lose 2 out of the last 3 and they're 14-3, then it's like, all right, 14-3 is still really good. Now, I think it should be Dable. I think that market's mispriced, because I just look at it. The Giants are minus 700 to make the playoffs. The Lions are coin toss, like slightly plus money. The Lions have way more talent than the Giants. They both of them make the playoffs. To me, the Giants, Dable getting that team into the playoffs is more impressive than Campbell, who has players. So, one guy, Campbell's plus 175, Dable's 30-1. To me, that's a mispriced market. That makes no sense to me.
I know we've talked about this. I haven't heard Brian's thoughts, but you never give it. No, the coaches that have good teams don't ever win. But it's like, what about Shanahan, who's now on his 3rd quarterback, and
definitely has a case. I don't think he'll win, but he definitely has a case.
Yeah, I mean, his defense was hurt for like a middle of the pack there, or middle of the season there. I don't know. I think
I don't see it open.
A lot of compelling cases for sure on some of these guys.
I feel like every award's wide open. I don't feel like I don't think there's one award that's settled. Maybe Gardner for Defensive Rookie of the Year, but other than that, I think everything's kind of open.
Gardner Minshew, that is, right? Defensive Player of the Year.
Yes.
No,
Yeah,
I just did a quick sweep. I don't see comeback player of the year market offered on a lot like any books I'm looking at. Because after that conversation, I would love to take some Sirianni stock if we end up clinching a 1 seed without Hurts.
Yeah, I mean, it was minus 400 a couple days ago. Now it's like minus 200, the ones I saw. So tough to bet at
Interesting.
minus 200. Yeah. But this is an NBA show, so I thought we'd give a little NFL talk. Never can.
No,
Can
I
never
think it
get
was
too much
actually a
NFL.
good, intelligent conversation. Actually, I thought that felt
First
smart.
time of the
So
show history. Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna write this in my diary. That was a good 10 minutes of content there.
The bank is open, presented by Props.cash, Pickett Sports, both essential tools to help your betting. Let's start with the NBA games. Utah is in Detroit. Utah is laying 2.5, total 228.5. Matt, what do you got here? Jazz and the Pistons.
I think it's a good spot to fade the Jazz. Back to back, they kind of got beat up a little bit by Cleveland. Sexton's. I'm not sure if Sexton's playing or not tonight.
He's out.
He's out. Okay, yeah.
And the Atlanta Clinic's out too.
Atlanta Clinic. They're not a deep team. Having two guys that are big contributors out that hurts them. I think the correction of the Jazz is starting to set in here, and Pistons are plucky, man. I've watched minute, from tip to final whistle of the last like 3 or 4 Pistons games. I've been kind of dialed in on a few of their players and their props. And I think that they can really cause some havoc, especially with their size with Beef Stew and Duran on the glass. I think they'll clean up. You saw what Evan Mobley and Jared Allen did to these guys. I think it's that 2.0 tonight. I think they beat him up on the inside. Bogey has his little revenge narrative. He's probably going to get his 22 points or whatever he needs to cash his over tonight. But I think it's a good spot to go ahead and take the home dog here straight up. I wouldn't even mess with the 2.5. I'll just take them to win the game.
I actually agree with that because I do think the Jazz, from what I've seen, have actually been a popular play today in terms of I think they were quote unquote called like a square play. I was listening to some stuff earlier. Just because it's Jazz versus Pistons, only laying a basket, I think people fell in love. I saw someone on Twitter place a 12-unit max play on the Jazz, so it's called the lock of the year. I thought so. I don't know if that scares you or worries you. There's a lot of emojis on that tweet, but it does seem like a spot where you could look at this team and say, "Oh, how can they lose to the Pistons?" But as you mentioned, the Pistons are a good team. Yep. The only worry, honestly, with the Pistons is a matter of do they want to be good? What was it last game? I think Ivy was shooting he was +8 in the game, I believe. He scored like 14, 15 points on very efficient shooting. And then he ended up riding the bench as Corey Joseph and some other role players had like a -26. And just that kind of a situation is a matter of, the tank situation there. But I do think they match up well. And like I said, there's no Atlanta Clinic. There's no they don't have Sexton in. Yeah. It's a back-to-back too, so it's also a back-to-back where I was surprised that the Jazz played some of their starters late into the fourth. They actually let Lauri Markkanen and they let Jordan Clarkson play a little bit later, which is surprising knowing they actually have a game, the next day. So I don't know if they're kind of looking over the spot or what, but the Pistons are very capable of taking this game from like the jump and just going out to an early lead. So I would lean the Pistons here in that regards.
Mm-hmm.
Brian just said the Pistons are a good team. I'm going to need Brian to speak at my funeral because I'm going to need somebody to say good things about me. The Pistons are 8-24. So Brian, when I pass away, hopefully a long time from now, hopefully it's not soon. You're up first, man. You can talk as long as you want at my funeral.
If you listen to the context, I think the Pistons are better than what they're like. Sure. Slated. I think there's times they lose
I know what you
steaming games. Yeah, I think they have a great core, and there's games where you see Corey Joseph shoot 0 for 8, but he plays 42 minutes, and you're like, what's going on here?
Wonder what Dwayne Casey's a good coach, and I think he's got a direction from upstairs a little bit to play certain guys in certain spots because now that we know Cade is out the rest of the year, I think they're trying to get Killian Hayes' trade value up so they can trade him. I don't.
It's not working because he's got to play basketball.
Right. I mean, he's that's the thing. It's like this is his year to try to do something. Like last year, he was pretty bad. This year, I think I'm seeing an uptick here, but he's inconsistent. He's a young player, and same thing with Ivy. Ivy's shot selection sometimes is really bad, and when he misses a three, it's bad. It's like he's either it's either like a beautiful doesn't touch the rim, or that thing doesn't. It's like the nastiest brick, and it's an ill-timed early in the shot clock three too, and you're just like, Casey just yanks him out of there because he'll go to Burks or Joseph, like you said. But I think there's some instructions coming down from upstairs to kind of play some of these guys and get them some certain minutes, because I couldn't imagine. I know Duran is like, he's cleaning the glass, he's playing great, but like right now, like I guess I just don't know if he's a complete enough player to be starting right now, but like that's their directive. It's like, all right, we're going to play the youngest kid in the NBA, and we're going to start him. Yeah, I guess he's outperforming, Bagley and guys like that. But you've tanked Sadiq Bey's trade value for some reason. Like I'm not sure what they're trying to do. And I think some of these players will obviously be moved at some point. But yeah, I don't know. The Pistons are a bettable team in this spot, believe it or not. So I'm glad you agree with me.
Guys haven't convinced me yet, but I'm getting there. I might be betting the Pistons. I'm still sore. I bet the Magic last night, but I'm rooting for them to win that division. And they won 6 in a row. They won twice in Boston, and they had a furious comeback in Atlanta last night, down 11 with like 3 minutes left. Next thing you know, they're ahead, 2 seconds left. A terrible foul by Boncaro, and I think DeJounte Murray, and they lose on free throw. So we've seen some life from the Magic. That was once 200-1 this time last week. It's down to like 60-1, 50-1 some spots. So, our Magic are looking good off tonight. I meant to ask you guys before we get to the next game. I think it's 10 of the last 11 days in the NBA. I heard this on VSiN this morning. 10 of the last 11 days, the biggest underdog on the board in the NBA has won outright that day. What do you guys make of that?
That has to be true.
It's insane.
It has to be. I feel like no, because like I run social medias and stuff for actual work, and I've been following that in terms of the sports world, and it's been ridiculous because some of the biggest favorites are just dropping. Was it Sunday? It was
last night. It was the Hornets beat the Kings, and then
Orlando beat Boston the other night
twice.
That was a Sunday.
It's been happening a lot. NBA's it's right now. There's a lot of parity going on. Obviously, rotations are changing. This is the type of the season where, like with the Pistons, like we just talked about, we're seeing some strange rotational changes. Some minutes are weird. You'll see certain coaches just give up in the third quarter. There's a lot more. It feels like there's a lot more blowouts this year than last. And I'm not sure how much of it is down to analytics or something like that, where people are saying, hey, give up earlier, or play certain guys like front office guys. You don't know who's really in it and who's not.
I think it's maybe the 3-pointer. So many teams are shooting threes that it mixes up the variance. It adds to the variance.
I feel like that too. Tired legs also contribute to if you're not hitting your threes, it can tank the whole thing if you're feeling a little down as a team, because you see it sometimes. What was it? The Suns, when they lost to the Rockets, they missed 70 shots. To miss 70 shots is impressive, because that means you got to take 100 plus.
Yeah.
So it happens in crazy ways like that.
What's the line from Anchorman? I'm not even mad. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I'm not even mad. That's impressive. You eat the whole block of cheese. So it's one of those things where if you miss enough shots, it just you can again. That's one of the reasons I've always said to my brother, who's gotten into big NBA. I'm a big family. It's only me and my brother that care about the NBA, and that's our biggest thing. Is just it's so fascinating because what was it, the Lakers Denver game the other night? I think there was 6 different times the team led by 8, and it's just like the game of runs. It's such a fun thing to watch, but it can be frustrating if you're betting on a game and you see those 70 missed shots.
Yeah, and Lakers the other night to Denver, I think it was Friday night. Davis goes out and he's hurt again. It sounds like it's not good. They're just getting beat by Denver, you figure, all right, this is a good live betting opportunity for Denver, and LA just runs them off the floor. Sometimes there's just no rhyme or reason to this stuff. So interesting to get your thoughts. But moving along, Knicks Warriors. Knicks are laying 5.5. Obviously, Curry's out. This is a game I do have a play on. I like the Knicks. I like the Warriors team total under. I just think the Warriors offense without Curry is very broken. It's too bad we don't get to see Steph in MSG. That's always sort of a game he gets up for. We've seen guys like Kobe, Steph. These guys, they get up to play in the Garden. Sort of a special thing, especially these teams in the West that they only go there once a year. So too bad he's missing the game. But I like the Knicks here. They've played well. I like Curry here as the Warriors as a team total under. Brian, you want to start us off? Knicks and Warriors. Anything you got in pocket?
I do lean the Knicks, and I do think it's funny that this is an interesting game where the actual game total is 221.5. And normally in Knicks games, I would say I would lean the under always just because of their pace. But now with Brunson, they're running fast, and so are the Warriors. I think this total is interesting to me, where I almost want to lead the over solely because these teams might just fire up a billion shots. And if you give me a billion shots with some of these shooters in terms of, Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, maybe if he wants to show up, if he remembers he's still in the Professional Basketball Association here, but there's just enough good shooters here that I think there is an avenue for maybe the Knicks team total over, because as you mentioned that if you lean the Knicks, I would lean there's going to be points there, because the Warriors are a team where if you're going to beat them, they're going to put up some points, but I think they're a little overvalued here. It's just without Steph Curry, I mean, as good as Jordan Poole has been, it's been their whole offense. And the Knicks, I think Thibodeau is smart enough to, identify that there is one legitimate shooter right now for them, because they've been struggling outside of Poole. I mean, Draymond Green hit 3 threes against the Raptors, but that's never going to happen in the next millennium. So I don't think it's just one of those things where if you can shut down Jordan Poole, and by shut down, I mean hold them under 25 and just don't let them go for 50 plus. I think there's so many avenues for the Knicks to win this game if they can just limit the production by Poole.
Yeah, I'm not messing with the side. The Knicks they very easily could blow the Warriors out here. 5.5. My initial reaction is it seems like that's too short of a number. I feel like the Knicks could win this thing by double digits. But that, like you said, the visiting players want to get up for a game in the Garden. Tuesday, we might see Klay, take this opportunity to show up. Poole will probably do his thing. It'll be fun watching Draymond and Randall go at it. I think that's a double ejection waiting to happen right there.
Yeah. That's what Ryan Props said. Ryan Props says he likes Draymond Green's. Ryan Props took Draymond's over in assists, and he says as long as he doesn't get injected, I think he should get 7 dimes, which is honestly that's a fair assumption. I mean, as long as he stays in the game.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we go Kevin Looney triple double tonight. He was close. He almost got it. He needed one more assist, but damn, that Steve Kerr. He just wouldn't leave him in there to try to get one more assist. The fun police, Steve Kerr. But
I will say, that's the other thing about happening. If you're back in the Knicks here, Steve Kerr and guys like, it used to be Nash while back. If they're down more than a point in the fourth quarter, they could just pull people. If they need a whole 3 to take the lead, they might just pull the plug on the game and just put in the medical staff that sees 0 minutes. The end of the bench guys, they do like to pull a little bit early.
Yep. I think I'm going to target the second string player props for the Knicks. And I know this seems a little crazy and maybe digging a little deep. I might not release them in the channel or anything, just personally, and whoever's watching the show can kind of hear my thoughts and maybe take advantage. But guys like Quickly and Hartenstein and stuff like that, I think they might be able to get some numbers against a weak Warriors bench. I think their second unit is pretty soft. I think the Knicks, and that's the thing, Thibodeau hates his bench players. He rides his starters so good, but if they put the game away and Steve Kerr pulls everybody, we might be in a situation where these bench guys get an extra 6 to 8 minutes of burn tonight. And a guy like Quickly, if you look up, you're like, wow, Quickly got 16, 17 points tonight. Wouldn't surprise me. we'll see what kind of lines become available. But if some of these role players are down in the single digits, I might go ahead and take a stab. Also, like Brian said, they both teams may get the Warriors play fast already, but the Knicks, their pace may shoot up a little bit, and I think there'll be some opportunity there.
Bank is open, presented by Pickett Sports, props.cash. Update here on the Idaho Potato Bowl. Eastern Michigan was a 4.5, 5-point underdog. They're up by 21, looking to put away San Jose State on the blue turf here. So keep an eye on that. We got another bowl game tonight.
What's the score?
41-20 Eastern Michigan. And it's funny, it was 13-0 San Jose State right off the bat. They're kicking an extra point to make it 14-0. It got blocked, run back for 2, and since then it has been all Eastern Michigan. So Eastern Michigan is on, let's see, a 41-7 run here since falling down 13-0. So
yeah, that's cool. I took San Jose State's team total under like 39.5.
You're good.
Like live, yeah.
You're good.
Just because someone I know that was pretty smart had the under 28.5. And when I saw that they scored 13 points right away, I just figured it was worth the gamble to get the buy at 39.5. So
smart.
Hopefully they stay under 28 for him as well. So
absolutely.
Hey, Matt,
before we move on,
max assist you can take for Looney is 6. And it's only 30-1 combined with 10 points and rebounds.
Man,
it's probably better at this point. I mean, 6 is nothing for the King. For King Loon, 6 assists. He does that in his sleep.
Yeah, and if Draymond, gets it irritated, and because Randall's going to be chirping and like that.
Spike Lee still go to the games. Maybe Spike Lee gets him fired up, like the old Reggie Miller and Seinfeld.
I thought you were gonna say maybe Spike Lee gets some minutes. I don't know why. Like maybe he gets in, hits a 3.
Before we move on, are you guys worried about the Warriors? I think we've all kind of given them the benefit of the doubt. They'll be fine. I'm starting to I don't know. Maybe last year was their last hurrah. Everyone assumed this is going to be a dynasty for the next 5 years. All these young guys, they haven't really developed. I don't know if the punch with Draymond and Poole is an issue. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they're dangerous come the playoffs. Nobody wants to play them. I know that's a cliche, but I don't know. I'm a little worried. What do you guys think?
I do think there's worry, and I do think it's one of those things where we mentioned Steve Kerr resting guys, this and that. Like they're almost managing like Curry's load and like some other people's workload as if they are cruising to the playoffs. Like they're managing alone as if like loads in terms of like what I mean. Like they're the way that they are running their rest schedule is as if they're the Warriors and they're cruising, and they're not cruising. So it's very interesting to think that they're playing almost like they're a number 1 seed when they're struggling.
I'm never worried about that team. They're not worried. Excuse me, I got a little frog, but if they're not worried, I'm not worried. Plus, with the amount of shooting that they have, and if they decide that, hey, we can make the run this year, I'm not betting against them in any series. Like it's just not going to be advantageous. I think there's just too much experience, too much know-how, too much versatility, too much scoring. Curry's out, but it's also Wiggins is out, and it's also they've just constantly had some issues. So when fully intact, there's nothing to worry about. And so until we get to the end of the season, I'm not going to burn any calories on those guys. I think they'll be there. I think they'll get in. And
they haven't burned any calories either. They've been all rested.
Exactly. Like if they play say the Pelicans get the 1 seed and the Warriors get the 8 or whatever, win the play in and get the. Would you not take the Warriors over the Pelicans, or do you think?
Great question.
You know what I mean? It's
so that was going to be my question to you, Matt. As saying. You said you wouldn't bet against them, but would you bet for them? That's the interesting part. Because I would maybe stay away, but I don't know if I'd bet for them. That's the other thing. That's very interesting of a comment.
Right now, life on the line. Are they in the conference finals?
Yeah, if they give me Iguodala, and I'll take them any day of the week.
Give me Andre
Iguodala. Yeah, no, I gotta say, I don't think I could put my money on it. I don't think I'd bet against them, but because I wouldn't be surprised if they did it, but I don't think I could see myself not wasting, but like putting actual money on them to do.
I would want to see if we're looking at like a series price, and they're an 8, the 8th seed or whatever against the 1 seed. That there'll be other series. there'll be other series that have, that'll have wider.
It's a brutal draw if
distribution.
somebody gets them in the play-in. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not somebody you want, so we'll see what happens. I think we got to wait and see. But the fully healthy Warriors towards the playoffs, I would like them. I would probably bet on them against any team but the Clippers, assuming the Clippers have full health. And I know I might be crazy, but the only way to answer these questions is assuming everybody's healthy.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
I would bet on the Warriors against anybody but the Clippers.
If you posted a line right now, yes, no, just like even money, will they be in the conference finals? I'd make a bet that they wouldn't. Like I don't want to pick against them any individual series. I just don't think they're gonna. I don't know. And again, I wouldn't be shocked if they are. You can never count this team out. It reminds me a little bit more 2 years ago. Remember they got in the play-in and they lost to the Lakers at the buzzer. They lost a good game to Memphis, and just like that, they're out. Like that play-in's dangerous, especially if you're the 9-10 where you got to win 2 games just to get in. That's not a good scenario.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think it'll be wild to see. And I think there's other things that may come into play. I think the Golden State team might make a trade at some point. They could be a team that makes a trade,
right?
Believe it or not. And
For
so we'll see what happens. I mean, yeah, maybe something crazy happens, and then they land a superstar on this team, and then we're like, holy crap, how did they do this? Like, crown them now, right in February. People are going to be saying stuff like that. So who knows, man?
I could see it. Next game up is Bulls Heat. Heat played a little better here. They've actually played a lot better. Bulls Heat are only laying 1.5. As looking at these college basketball lines, Drake, Mississippi State 47-46. I would bet a live under. That's a little free play here because 3 minutes left, tie game like this, unless you get overtime, over under 108.5. I would go under. That's a little aside. But Brian, Heat, Bulls, what you got? Anything in pocket?
You're taking the under 108?
Yeah.
Because I mean,
93
I'm not, like
points,
I said,
there's 3 minutes left. It's a 1-point game, so you're going to be out of the foul zone.
I put a crisp Jackson on it. So
okay, we'll sweat it together.
Yeah, because I'm not really going to be betting much tonight, and if I'm on the show I'll be a little degenerate. Yes. But yeah, I do think, in this next game, talking about actual NBA here, is Jimmy Butler's out. And by out, he's doubtful, so he's not playing, I don't believe. What was it? Kyle Lowry's out. Is that the end of it? I think there's more, but I think those are the two big guys that are out.
Martin and Vincent, which hurts their depth off the bench. So probably Hero, Depot, Strus.
So I could be completely wrong here, because with those injuries, I would actually leave the Bulls, who have been not great at many points this year. But then again, my wisdom will say to bet on the Heat, because if anyone's listening to this, every single time a team is missing 7 players, they always win. Yeah. I don't understand it. You could the Lakers could not have their 5 starters, and you'd have they'd be missing everybody, and you'd see Lonnie Walker drop 60 in a 50-point win. It's really interesting.
Of that, speaking of that game, and I'm sorry to side come in here like that. Why did Westbrook not get any burn? His triple double was such a popular prop that night. He was so close.
Was that last night?
It was the game against the Nuggets, and you got Walker and Reeves hobbling. Both left the game because of injury, like ankle or leg injuries, and you've got Westbrook just not in, and that was after AD had already went out and everything. Just kind of crazy stuff. And like you mentioned, these teams that have nobody, they I don't know, you almost want to be on that team that's like the cornered animal, the other team I think naturally relaxes a little bit. And so I like it. I think your cap of the Heat is a good one. I think they could easily get this thing done. Bam will probably erase Vucevic tonight. I think Hero Caruso is a fun little matchup. Seeing how these guys will face off, and if Caruso can limit his scoring or anything. But I'm not sure. It's a pick 'em, so just kind of flip a coin. And with the Heat missing their best player, being the favorite still. That I think that tells you what you need to know.
Yeah, and the Bulls are a mess.
Yeah.
Bulls are probably looking towards a rebuild. I think that they trade off some of these guys, Levine, DeRozan, and just tear it up because they're not good enough to be really good. They're just in that bad no man's land. You're not good enough to be good. You're not bad enough to get a good pick.
And if you're not good enough to be good in the NBA, you're nothing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You can't be that mediocre team for years. It's just one of those things where you
Right.
can't be
the play-in
can't be
team
a
and get
play-in
killed by
every
Milwaukee
year.
in the first round,
Yeah.
get the 16th pick in the draft. It's really hard. It doesn't make any sense.
The Bulls are one of my favorite teams, not in terms of I don't like the Bulls at all, but they're my favorite examples in terms of they have some great talent. I mean, look at their quote unquote big three. And it just kind of shows what it takes to be that good in the NBA at this point in this sport is that, you can have Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan who you could probably put them wherever you want to put them in your top whatever player list, but it's not enough. They have not been able to stay in games. They have not been able to do much. Their depth isn't really there. I mean,
they went all in for Vucevic. They traded all those picks and they gave up Carter. It was a bad trade. It was a really bad trade. And they went all in. And
not having Lonzo though, I mean, that's huge. Like he's been seriously hurt for this season, and feels like it feels like 2 full seasons at this point since we've seen like healthy Lonzo. And as good as DeMar and Levine are, like neither one is a natural point. And so having both of those guys off the ball, ready to catch and shoot or create a shot, and let Lonzo kind of do all the hard work of carrying the ball up the court. Plus Lonzo's a really good defender. Like he's pretty underrated. Caruso brings the heat defensively, of course, but I think his miss is super, super important to like the Bulls recipe. And without him, like you said, I would blow it up. Let's see what the Lakers will give you for Levine.
Yep.
DeRozan, a good mid-range scorer is always going to be important in the playoffs. So somebody will grab a hold of DeMar, I would think. I mean, it's maybe a year, 2 years, something like that. You get him in there, try to make a run. If I'm the Bulls, I listen to anybody coming.
Someone in the chat asked when Lonzo's coming back, and I believe the answer is no one knows.
TBD, yeah. The reports are all concerning. Like, he can't walk upstairs, he can't jump. It's like, geez. And by the way,
he's not really with the team. He's not really with the team often either. So it's not you can eye test it.
Right. 52-50 Drake, Brian. So we got under a minute left. We're sitting at 102. Wait, how did that just go from 52-50 to 54-52? The app might be this might be a dud, man. This has been a little scoring spree at the end here. We need to just hold serve here at 54-52. But the last game, good. Suns Wizards, we got 2 more left. Suns Wizards, Suns laying 7.5. They buried the Lakers last night as the Lakers sat all their guys, missing Davis. I would expect the Suns to win. I'm not crazy about laying the 7.5. Maybe you throw them in a money line parlay. Brian, what do you got here? Suns and the Wizards.
So this is one of those games where the Suns are also dealing with some injuries. Obviously the jersey I have on right now, my guy, I bet on a lot, DeAndre Ayton. I don't even want to touch his props tonight. He's at 20.5 again. He's dealing with an ankle injury. I just don't know if I trust that high of a line for him in this game. The Suns are another team where they can surely, with some of the guys they have, catch fire and run away with the game. So this is just a weird game in terms of player props, which is usually where I bet, because I wouldn't be surprised if the Suns get blown out in either way. The Suns are a team that can win by 40 or lose by 40 with how I guess it's to be expected. Devin Booker's out. You have Josh Okogie in. You have Torrey Craig, and I guess it's expected that if those guys get hot, look out. They're dropping however many points, they're going to run away with it. But if they don't hit their jumpers, then I don't want Josh Okogie to be my go-to guy to win a game in the fourth quarter. So it's just a very interesting team to break down. Their defense is down this year. They're not playing well in their rotations. The Wizards are like a weirdly sneaky team. Bradley Beal is a guy that can take over a game if he wanted to. The only issue with this year is sometimes he doesn't feel like playing and he likes to wait around a while. So I lean the Suns here, but as you said, 7.5 is kind of adventurous given the state of the team. I don't know what your thoughts.
Back to that underdog streak you guys were talking about. This is the biggest underdog of the night.
Yeah.
So take the Wizards -10. Just take them to win by double digits at this point.
Yeah.
You hate to jump on these trends late, man. You feel like you just missed the boat, but you also don't want to, hey, maybe it goes on for a little while. But I don't know. Interesting.
I think the Suns are all having a huge sigh of relief. The Wicked Witch is dead. Their team, the owner's out. They got a new guy coming in there. I think the culture in there, everybody's gonna be loose. They're gonna be feeling better about things. I think the Suns that interesting. Yeah, it's a handicap thing that's tough. Does that help them or does it hurt them? Like now that they don't have to continue to do these things, maybe they are asked. People probably are asking them a lot of questions about it. Like, oh, what do you think about the new owner coming in? Are you happy that the old guy's out? Are you doing the? Oh, Devin Booker's out. Aiton's out. Like all these guys, not going to be there. Do what now?
Pingus is out.
Aiton is going to play. Am I seeing that?
Yeah, Aiton's in.
Aiton's in.
Look, guys, the only word, like
Aiton
only played 26 minutes yesterday, but
yeah.
As someone that bets on Aiton religiously, it's just so tough because, like I said, it's a back-to-back. He's coming off of ankle injury that's really been bothering him. I wouldn't be surprised if he sees like lower minutes again in a back-to-back.
Yeah, I lean the Suns with you. Like, the Wizards, Gafford he's high energy. He can get you 10 and 10 pretty quick, but he fouls so much that it's tough. But yeah, so that factor of the ownership change going through and everything, I think is a weird quirk on this normal handicap. Like I think, does it have them play free, play loose? Are they a little cold? Like maybe you play Washington in the first quarter here, and then grab the Suns for the money line. They have those markets where you could pick a team to win the first quarter and then the other team to win the game. I think that might be a good look. Like the Suns just come out a tad flat and but then come back and their quality shows through.
Yeah. I do give the credit to the Sun where it's due, where they are, numbers aside this year, like overall, they have a good fan base. I do usually like to have, they're usually a very good home team. So that's another feather in their cap.
Absolutely. Right. Just a machine in terms of the regular season. Last game here, possibly a playoff preview. Nuggets hosting the Grizzlies. Fun game. Denver laying a point. You get games like the other night, which I like the Nuggets. I always think, look, it's a sleeper title team. I don't know if they defend well enough, but you get nights like the other night against the Lakers where there's no LeBron, there's no Davis. It's a game you can't lose and you get absolutely blown out. That just doesn't make you trust Denver, but should be a fun one tonight. They're laying a point. I lean towards Denver. They're always tough at home. Matt, what do you got here? Nuggets and the Grizz.
Yeah, I think you can't judge the Nuggets unless they're fully healthy. And now, with Porter, is he ever going to be fully healthy? Who knows? Like, when your back is hurt that bad, this young, you think, and you're that tall, like that is just, there's a recipe for lingering, ongoing injuries over and over and over again. So, but assuming he's your, 17 point, 8 rebound kind of guy who's a wing, if long term, the Nuggets, I like them because you've got Gordon, you've got Porter. Murray looks like he's almost back to where he was, bubble Murray type of player. You add an experienced wing and Caldwell Pope who can shoot. And he's the only guy that won a championship on that team, if I'm not mistaken. So they do have some guys on there that I like. They seem like they're set up for a good playoff run. And Jokic is Jokic, man. I mean,
I'm about to say, you didn't even mention the best player.
Right.
In the original, you mentioned Bruce Brown.
Right, Bruce Brown. Yeah. And you need you have all those good guys, and then Bruce Brown will be leading the team in shots, like for some reason. Like,
I will say this: that I agree with you there with the I agree with you a lot of the Nuggets because I will say this though, Bruce Brown, that's one of those guys where I don't know about you, Will, but I think you would agree with me. I don't think the Nets made a mistake not pushing.
I
for
totally
him.
agree.
He's one of
absolutely.
He's one of those guys where we talk about the Bulls sucking. It doesn't really matter what the poster you have in your your stadium when you walk in of your big three. It only gives you like 30%. There's so much more to this game that I think that the Nuggets have like those glue guys like the Bruce Brown. They have some guys, Bones Highland, like they have those guys who can come off in the bench and give you solid minutes.
I worry about the non-Jokic minutes. By the way, Brian, it was 56-52 with 2 seconds left. My app said the game ended, but they put a second and a half back on the clock. Drake gets fouled, makes both free throws, so we lose by a point here. So that was
that sounds like college basketball. That's why I like college basketball. It always sucks.
Yeah, if you like betting but you don't like fun, let me introduce college basketball. Like,
have you ever seen the scene from it's Family Guy where he goes to the casino and he's like, I want to bet on college basketball, on college football. He's like, here's $100. Do you want to pick a team? And he's like, no, you can have it. Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, Will, if we had the over 108.5, he would have missed both.
Yep. How it goes.
That's how it works. They only make it when you don't need it to.
Right.
Eastern Michigan running out the clock here, up 14. Looks like they're about to score again as they got 3rd and goal. So Eastern Michigan in good shape, 41-27. So your under is in good shape here with San Jose State.
Yeah.
Wait for San Jose to get 2 touchdowns in 4 minutes. I'm just waiting for it.
Yeah,
that's the only way I lose this.
The kid almost had a pick 6. It was the ball's on the 3-yard line, and Eastern Michigan threw a screen. The DN read it the whole way, tapped it up to himself. If he caught it, he probably runs it back. Would have only put him at 34, but and there's 4 minutes and change left. You're still in good shape, so
yeah,
I think you got one.
But to add on to what we're saying is that this is
I was gonna say for the Grizzlies and the Nugs, like, Denver at home is the right side. You look at if you're looking at any of the ATS stuff, Memphis has been a disaster on the road, and without Bane, who's one of their best road dogs last year, I just think the scoring drops off enough that the Nuggets will outlast them. This will be a fun game. If you're interested in the trends and stuff, I think they are 3-9-2 as an underdog this year. Memphis is, and on the road, I'm trying to take a look here. Pull that up. The season split. I can't find it.
This makes for great television here.
Yeah, great. Yeah. I was pulling it up, but anyway, what I'm trying to say is Memphis is a good fade spot here. They're better at home than they are on the road. Being a little shorthanded without Desmond Bane, I think as good as Steven Adams is, he will not be able to slow down the Joker. He may even get
foul trouble.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if
he might get played off the floor. You might get some of the backup. You get into that bench. Like you said, with foul trouble, do we get to see what's his name, Xavier Tillman maybe come in and get some minutes? I don't know. Zaire Williams. I think that the Nuggets are the right side. This is a small little number here, so I think you go ahead and lay it with the Nuggets. Yeah, you'll be pretty happy.
I do think this is you mentioned Steven Adams guarding Jokic one-on-one, potential foul trouble. I do think this is a good spot for Jaren Jackson. I know he is the hardest person to, rely on in terms of fouls because he likes to just punch the shit out of people. But if he can stay out of foul trouble, I do think this is a good spot for his points and his rebounds. In a game where you said that, without Bane, in a tight spread, I do think he should see the minutes, and I do lean his overs. I actually do have my risk-free TNT parlay. I'm not sure if you got it, Eli, but if you had it, if you put it up, that's how I kind of see this game in terms of player props perspective. These teams, we're not aware, they're not good at defense. I mean, like the Memphis are, so Memphis is, but they play so fast. The Nuggets just can't defend things. They just kind of run high and dry, which is interesting. So I do think it's a spot for I actually took Morant and Jokic at 8 assists each. I think they should both have plenty of chances in this pace. I mean, the total is 238 at open. That's a very high total, and I wouldn't be surprised if it goes over. I took Morant at 25 points, Jokic at 20 points. Jokic is weird in terms of scoring. Yeah. I would have gone. I needed to be plus 400 or more. I would have put him at 25 plus, but he's totally okay racking up 12 dimes and is letting his team shoot if he needs to. And then I took Jaren Jackson's rebounds, which I like because if if Steven Adams is tied up with Jokic the whole game, I do think this is a game where Jaren Jackson can kind of blossom. So this is just a game where if you want to do your TNT promo, I think this is the game to do it. This is going to have so much pace. It should be a fun game to watch. Even if you're not betting on it, I think this is like the game of the night just to sit down with like a beer or something and just have a fun time watching it.
Should be a fun one. This was a fun show. We covered it all. Went almost an hour here. Did a little NFL, some college football. Did a little bit of everything. Obviously, gave you some thoughts on the NBA games. Anything else before we wrap? Brian, Matt, anything you got?
No, I think this is just going to be a low key night for me on the betting side, but I'm going to, have some fun watching sports and hopefully see a great game in the Nuggets game. And I wish everybody else out there a great night, no matter what you're taking.
What's your go-to beer?
See, I'm not a beer drinker. I'm a bourbon drinker.
You're an old-fashioned guy. You just said you're going to have a beer and watch the game, though.
Well, right. I was saying if I was related, I didn't say I would. I said it's a good game to grab a beer. I'll do a seltzer, but I'm a bourbon. Uncle Nearest is my usual bourbon, just on the rocks there, or a Scotch.
Okay. Matt, what's your go-to beer? What you're like a Coors Light guy or something like?
So the way you said that, yeah, you're a Miller. Okay,
I'm a Miller guy on the day-to-day. I like IPAs and stouts and spiced ales during the holidays. As the weather cools down, I can handle a few more bitter notes and a higher ABV. But like I love Great Lakes Christmas Ale, one of my favorites. I've got that in the fridge too. So, but you don't want to just drink on those all night. That's more of your sipping type of beer. And
yeah,
I'm a bourbon guy too. I always have either Makers or something like that along, just in the shop. But I have higher end stuff for special occasions too. But
I'm glad to hear you say that because Makers is my house bourbon where I have it in my decanter. That's
exactly. Just the quick pours. You don't want to say it's my go-to daily bourbon because then you just sound like a alcoholic.
Yeah, see, that's good.
It's funny
when Woodford. Someone said Woodford, very nice, but I think everyone's waiting on what Will's. I think you need to chime in here.
I'm an IPA guy. I'm an IPA. I don't know if it's a local thing, but it's a Headway. It's more of a northeast thing, but they got some great craft beer, some great IPA. So I'm just a craft beer IPA sort of snob here. I prefer, I got in a kick where it was just Tito's on the rocks. Maybe Tito's and soda, low calorie.
Oh, that's gross. I'm sorry. Yeah, I will say. I used to be a clear liquor person, but I don't think I could ever just sip it on the rocks like that. That's actually why I got into more bourbons and stuff, because my favorite thing about drinking Scotch and bourbon is that you can taste the difference as you go up the levels. Like, I used to be a Ciroc guy, and then I think you can give like most people Ciroc compared to say like a, Pinnacle, and people will be like, oh, it's still vodka. Like, right. I think bourbons and like nicer Scotches, it's really nice to, taste the difference from like a 18-year Glenlivet to like like a Dewar's or something like that. So that's where I kind of got into the finer starts of it because I think it's interesting.
All right. Well, Matt, Brian, appreciate you guys. We'll be back, I think, on Thursday. Then I'm not sure if we're doing Saturday or Sunday for the NFL show. My guess is we would do it Saturday and not on Christmas because that's when all the games are Saturdays.
I think we're shutting down for Saturday and Sunday with Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So we'll be back tomorrow at noon with Propping Up. We'll be back Thursday on this show. Friday we got Box to Box as well as On the Dot, which is daily fantasy and some NFL props as well. And then we'll be out Saturday, Sunday, and then back Monday.
Cool.
All right. Perfect. Thanks, Eli. Appreciate it. Matt, Brian, good luck with all your plays. We'll see you guys next time.
All right. I'll see you guys.
Props.cash, Pickett Sports, Go Boys. See you guys.